Vanderbilt's comeback effort stops just short, but the good news is the baseball team combined for a no-hitter against Eastern Michigan. We'll talk about all of that. We are live. Let's go.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Thank you for joining me. We are live, so we're going to take your comments here as you wish. But this episode, we're going to talk a little. We're going to address the no hitter that happened. Since we're live, I want to give that some shine. That's a really big accomplishment. I think the baseball team has gotten themselves back on track, but the basketball team the men's team was also in action at Missouri. We'll talk about that and the ins and outs of that. The resilient comeback. They were down 21 over halfway through the second half, and things were not looking pretty. And then they just all of a sudden they stormed back and almost won it. So we'll talk about all of that. Tyler Tanner, 27 points. So that was amazing right there in and of itself. But this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, looking at this matchup and looking at what happened here tonight with the men's basketball team, it got off to a decent start. I don't think they got off to a sluggish start. I think they had a less than stellar end of the first half, and that bled over for most of the first half of the second half and for the first part of the second half. And I just think they dug themselves too big of a hole. And this was a game frustrating because we should have had that. And had you not disappeared for, I don't know, we'll call it 12 minutes of game clock, I think you win this game because you get hot late in the second half and all of a sudden you spend all your energy and all your effort trying to erase a 21-point deficit. It's just too tough. It's just too tough. And injuries take their toll. Obviously, you got to have Duke back. And those scoring droughts, they just weigh on you. And when you don't get like when you go a large portion of the game where your best shooter has 3 points, Tyler Nickel, he has 3 points at halftime. It's not good. Like you have Tyler Tanner in double digits, and he was the only one in double digits for a while. And you get not hardly anything off the bench. It's just tough to win games like that, right? You get 20 minutes, you get 5 points from Chandler Bing. You get 5 points from Jaden Leverett. You get 3 points from Tyler Harris, 11, 13, and 20 minutes respectively. Or actually, Chandler Bing with 20, Leverett with 13, Tyler Harris with 11 minutes. You get Tyler Tanner sat out 2 minutes of the game. He scored 27, McLaughlin 13, Tyler Nickel finally chipped in with 11. But again, those numbers weren't indicative. Like if you just look at the numbers, you're like, okay, well, they should have won. But it's another one of those games where, like, those numbers came too late. All that momentum came too late. And you just could not regain your momentum. They were sluggish too much of the time, exhausted, road trip, crowd gets into it. Missouri got on a run. Now, they played well. I don't want to take anything away from that. They played extremely well. And they earned that game. They almost gave it away, but they earned that game. And that was something that Vanderbilt, if they're going to make a run in this tournament, if they're going to advance, if they're going to be a major factor in postseason play, they've got to win games like that. They can't afford to lose games like that. Now, if you look at the overall stats, field goal percentage is equal. 3-point percentage, Missouri was red hot from 3-point land. Vanderbilt wasn't too far off at 40%, right? Turnovers, 14. Missouri had more turnovers. Vanderbilt had 21 points off of turnovers. You had 32 points in the paint. Like, the numbers present themselves to a game that Vanderbilt should have won. But if you just look at the stats alone, they don't tell the full story. The full story is Vanderbilt disappeared for, we'll call it 12 minutes. It may have been more. You get 2 flagrant fouls on Devin McLaughlin. Each of those times lead to 4-point runs for Missouri just at the free throw line. You get, you turn the ball over in key situations. You don't guard well on the perimeter in certain situations. You don't talk, you don't communicate, and you just don't get any production off the bench, right? And this would be a time for Tyler Harris to really be able to contribute off the bench, right? If you don't have Duke Miles, you've got to have somebody else contribute. You've got to have somebody else come in and shoot. You've got to have one of those bench guys come in and give you a jolt of energy. When your starters are sluggish, that's where the bench players come in, and that's what they add. That's what Chandler Bing could add. That's what Tyler Harris could add. That's what, Leverett could add. Jalen Leverett. That's what he can add. Like, those guys have to come in and they give you that shot of adrenaline to get your starters back going, right? You've got to have somebody that can spell Tyler Tanner for more than 2 minutes, right? He can't play 38 minutes night in and night out. He just can't. The way he plays, he can't do it. You got to have somebody to come in. And Duke Miles, I don't know if we need to call Mr. Miyagi, get him to do some of these Miyagi tricks or whatever, but we've got to get Duke Miles back on the court. He's too important. Like, when he's in, this team is totally different. And this team has been tremendous in his absence overall. Like, I don't have too many complaints about this team despite all these injuries. But tonight was a game you should have won. Tonight was a game that if Tyler Nickel has 10 points at halftime, you probably win this game. If any one of your 3 forwards, centers, front court guys, if any one of those guys were in double digits, you probably win this game. If McLaughlin doesn't get 2 flagrant fouls close to each other, you probably win this game, right? And yeah, that there's a lot of things that I think just were head scratchers, Brandon, and thanks for your comments. There was just a lot of head scratching moments in this game where you're just like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? And I, just like the Oklahoma game, I almost turned this thing off with 8:41 left, down by 21, not much life. I about turned it off. Glad I didn't. But this, again, it's, if we're nitpicking this kind of loss, if we're looking for positives, here's some positives. The fight is there. The effort's there. They were not soft. They fought like hell. I think once they finally kind of turned it on, and I think once they finally got out of the fog or whatever funk they were in, I think whenever they broke that slump a little bit, they were able to play with their hair on fire. And I think the way they played in the last 8:41, I think is the way they got to start. And that's just their identity. They've just got to come full bore, full tilt. Let's go. And I know that's difficult with all the injuries, but they've just got to do that and see where that takes you. I mean, it's just that sense of urgency. I really like that sense of urgency. I wish that Vanderbilt could control the tempo of the game a little bit better. I wish they could play like that more often throughout the game. I wish they could, come out of a timeout and just say, hey, we're going to put the pedal down and let's go. Like, I wish they could do things like that. So, but it wasn't meant to be tonight. Missouri earned that one. Missouri's a bubble team. They're a tournament team. They're a team fighting for a spot. So they're desperate. They got absolutely embarrassed at home on Saturday. So that's part of the reason why they were playing extra motivated as well. They know they have a tournament spot on the line, so they're playing with that extra chip on their shoulder. I think Vanderbilt was a little bit complacent also. I think sometimes when you're sitting in a really good position, your focus just, especially midweek, just kind of wanes. And when you get to this time slot, that can get a little tough as well. And not to make excuses, but like, your focus just isn't there. And so that's something that they've got to work on. But I'm going to switch gears. This is going to be a quick one. When I come back, going to talk a little baseball combined for a no-hitter. And then we're going to get out of here and get to get some sleep, I guess. So we'll talk a little baseball when we come back.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right. Also, FanDuel, have you ever wanted to go and be a part of the NBA Finals? You ever want to see that live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you a chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. It's like basically a chance to visit Oklahoma City. So that'd be cool. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. And for those of you basketball fans out there, let me know in the comments who's going to win the NBA Finals. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is a perfect time to lock it in. Lock it in right here in the chat, right? Love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now not only can your pick cash, it can also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost to get on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And also, workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and that one position you have that is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for with skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is the job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right. Thanks. Welcome back. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making this your first listen. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being in the live chat. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate you guys everywhere. Make sure you join the Everydayers Club. Link is in the show description there. But talking baseball now, right? Basketball falls 81-80. Tyler Tanner's 27 points. Sluggish at times. They could have won the game, but they just got to be a little more consistent. They just got to kind of find their identity and just roll with it. Sometimes I think they get away from it a little bit. Sometimes I think it might just be preserving the legs of these guys, but who knows? Knowing they have an important game coming up Saturday against Tennessee, that could have been one of the strategies of, hey, we're in that late Wednesday slot, so let's – I don't know. I don't think that was the case, but that's a possibility. So, but on to some positive news for the night. Basketball falling short. Baseball did not fall short. Baseball, I think, made up for a crappy week. Well, not really a crappy weekend, just kind of a disappointing end to what could have been a really good weekend. Because you go 1-1 through your first two games. I mean, TCU is a great team. They have a great ace starter. They hit the ball really well. They won a hard-fought game against Vanderbilt. Saturday, you come out, you run rule Texas Tech, and then you just get run ruled by Oklahoma State the next day. And it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth of this Vanderbilt team is disappointing. But when you draw back and you look at it from the 30,000-foot view, it's really not that disappointing. They hit really well for the most part, except for Sunday. Sunday was just bad all around. Take Sunday out. Sunday was more of an outlier, but they hit well overall. You had two guys come out of that weekend with 3 home runs apiece, Colin Barzy and Brody Johnston. And Brody Johnston hit 2 more on Tuesday night against Eastern Michigan. But you just finished a 2-game set with Eastern Michigan where you get the sweep. Brody Johnston's tearing the cover off the ball. Tommy Gooden gets his start at first base. He hits a grand slam in the first inning. You have a 9-run first inning. And guess what? You combined for a no-hitter. It was the 5th since 2019 under Tim Corbin. And it was a really nice night pitching. Otherwise, you had a few rough spots, rough patches there with some wild pitches. But overall, when you combine for a no-hitter against anybody, that's good. And when you use 7 pitchers to do so, at some point down the line, if you use 7 pitchers, someone is going to give up a hit. Someone is going to leave one up there and give up a hit. But they didn't. They combined for the no-hitter. It was a 7-inning game. It was 16-1. And it was rather impressive. And anybody that was there at the Hawk, it was a nice game. The weather was less than ideal. It was, a little bit more gloomy. It had rained all day, but still not terrible weather. But the bats were alive again, and I love the approach at the plate. I love the way this team is going through their at-bats. I love the way they're driving the baseball. This team is mashing home runs left and right, and this is going to be a fun year for this offense. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how it progresses throughout the season on into conference play and through the tournament and hopefully into regionals, super regionals, and the hope is you make it out to Omaha. But that's way down the road. But I do think this team did get themselves back on track. I think they found something here. They might have found a good lineup. And you wish Maldonado would get a shot at first base, and he still may. But Tommy Gooden's having a good run as the first baseman right now, and you may stick with that. Carter Johnstone and Mike Mancini rotating at second base, like you're going to kind of see a nice little battle there. And Carter Johnstone is not necessarily going to give it up that easily. Obviously, Brody Johnston, Braden Holcomb, and Colin Barzy are 3 guys that are going to be fixtures in this lineup. Mac Whitcomb also hitting really well at the DH spot. And you've got some really good pitching. So you've got some things to build on. Riker Waite is also coming on a little bit as the shortstop, and he's starting to hit the ball a little bit better. And so this is something this is an exciting development, because coming out of that tournament, your 2 biggest gripes were bullpen, which your bullpen helped combine for a no-hitter tonight. So maybe they're starting to get on a good track. But bullpens just by nature are up and down. You just hope the ups are good enough to overcome the downs, which those can be pretty, and just make sure your downswings aren't too catastrophic from your bullpen, and try to limit that. But the areas of your lineup outside of the big 3 didn't hit well over the weekend overall. Hit well in these last 2 games, hit extremely well in these last 2 games. So it was just a good way to get back on track. It was a good way to just kind of reinvigorate this team and put them back on a track to where, okay, maybe we can do something. Maybe there is a chance that we can compete. And that's got to be something that you look at coming into this weekend series against Marist. Your weekend arms are going to get a chance to throw some more, and you're going to get a chance to play some guys in those. And you probably if you can not play a single 9-inning game this weekend either, I think that'll go a long way in determining if this team is really ready to play, because staying focused against I don't want to say lesser opponent. Marist is probably a pretty good team in their own right, but like you go against like an Eastern Michigan, it's easy to kind of throttle down a little bit, get a little, you're hitting well, you lose focus because you're just cruising, right? It's easy to kind of get in that mode, but Vanderbilt did not get this team did not get in that mode to, these last two games. Hopefully that maintains throughout the weekend, and then you can get yourself ready to go out to Vegas the following weekend to play in this Vegas Classic where you're playing against some like Oregon, Arizona, and like those teams. So this will be fun. This will be a good test for Vanderbilt to kind of just get them back on track and ready for the following week when they get their schedule ramps up a little bit, and then you just inch towards conference play. So I'm excited. The no-hitter is a huge deal. I'm tomorrow morning show when it drops, it's leading off with the no-hitter thing. So make sure you check that out. Give that some likes and give that and make sure you do that. So one of the things that one of my goals for this show, just in general, and I'll leave you guys with this, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever I'm talking about, my goal is always to fire you guys up. My goal is to reinvigorate Vanderbilt fans and give them a place to where they can have an identity. Like y'all can have an identity. Each and every one of you out there listening can have an identity. You can always come here, jump in the comments when I go live, jump in the comments and just chat, right? Just have that identity, have that sense of community, and you can really kind of show the rest of the college football world that, because one of the biggest knocks about Vanderbilt and one of the biggest reasons why I took this on was the challenge of trying to invigorate this fan base, trying to invigorate y'all and really show the world that, hey, there is a world where Vanderbilt can be relevant and have fans. And that's one of the things that I really like, and how fast this show's grown. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about what we're marching towards. So I appreciate your support, and I appreciate your continued support as well. So walk with me in that journey. Let's show the world, let's show the college football world that Vanderbilt can take over. If you want to do that, I'm with you. So that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Let me know what you guys want to hear about. As always, if you have any suggestions, things that you feel like I'm leaving out or not covering, just let me know. I'll be happy to throw some of that stuff in there as well. Everydayers Club, if you're already an everydayer, make sure you join. It's ad-free audio, Discord channel access. There's more beyond that. It's affordable, $5 monthly, $50 a year, and it's a great deal. It's a great value. So make sure you do that. And of course, as always, I'll see you back here next time. Locked On Vandy, anchor down. Peace.